Hello, my name is Jella and I am from Iran. I was born in a small clinic in the town province of Azerbaijan al-Gharbi in 1952. My town is a rural place in the north of Iran, where most people live simply and do simple jobs. I was born in the only clinic in my town where a small nurse helped my mother deliver. As far as I know, I wasn't born with any complications or disorders. I survived as a healthy baby. My childhood days, not a lot went on. When I first arrived at school, I was surprised by how many people were there at one place. When I went into my all-girls class, we first started learning about Iran and Islamic history. For the next year or two, we learned normal subjects like math and English, but also had a strong emphasis on Islamic history. Most of the people in my village had one child and rarely two. Power was usually out, so I had to be helping my mother work in the kitchen. We had no gas for most of the time, so I had to go ask the people next doors for wood every time we had to cook something. My daily life was quite simple, which included me going to school, then either helping my mother for the rest of the day or playing with my one friend, Aisha. The problem I hated most was that whenever our local farm ran out of food in the winter, we had to go to the nearest village just to get food from the market, which was way more expensive. My mother and I had to go since my father was working overtime. My dad had to work a lot in the rice farms, just to get enough food since we are in debt to a lot of people. Most of the people live very simply since they have less money to exchange for goods. As I was growing up, our financial situation got better. We had lesser food problems. We opened up our own little farm where we got our food from. When I was 13, my mom gave birth to my younger sister. She, like me, was born in a small clinic where a nurse helped my mother with the delivery. After she was born, I usually stayed in the house helping my mother. We moved into a larger house, and for the first time a hospital was built in our village. Due to our improved financial situation, I was able to finish my last 2 years of school till grade 12. When I graduated, my mother started teaching me how to do many of the house chores and take responsibility. When I was 20, my mother started talking about marriage, and we looked for a guy who had a stable job at their own farm. When we found a guy that could support our family, I got to spend a little time with him before I got married at 21. I was very excited that I would be making my own family and having the responsibility of running my own house. When I got married, I had learned to take up my new daily routine. I had to wake up at 5 and started preparing lunch using the leftover supplies from yesterday's harvest. My husband took out the harvest to sell it into the markets. I was finally able to help my dad pay off his debt to the other villagers. My mother-in-law was eager to have children, and after 2 years I finally became pregnant. My mother-in-law was overly joyed and took care of me for 9 months. After I delivered my child, my life got really tough. I had to take care of the house as well as take care of my baby. I used to stay up late and still take care of most of the work around the house. In the year of 1970, we first used chemicals to treat our crops. Kept them going until the winter and prevented them from spoiling. When my daughter was 10 years old, I started sending her to school. The village I had grown up in now was a town, and the schools were better. As the years went by, my daughter finished school and my mother-in-law died. It was just my husband, my daughter, and me living in the house. Then, in 2000, my father had a heart attack. 2 years later, my mother had one too. Many of the doctors had told us that it was due to the chemicals in the crops and that they had died from heart disease. So we stopped using them. When my daughter was 25 years old, she finished school and was ready to get married. I was growing old and so was my husband. And that's why we married her off at 26 to a man whose family we had known for years. In 1980, we had an Islamic revolution in Iran. Things changed, and Iran became a very Islamized nation. Women did not have the permission to go outside, and we had a mosque in every town. And non-Muslims were often killed. Now at 50, I was growing old and was finally happy that I had married my daughter off. As time passed by, I myself developed coronary heart disease due to the harmful chemicals in the crops. Before the year I had a stroke, my husband died due to a track accident, and in 2010 I myself lived my last day. Today I thank you all for coming here and sharing my sorrow of my dear mother's death. To whoever is listening to this, as her daughter, I probably know her better than anyone alive on this earth right now, and I can tell you one thing, that she was the most generous, loving, and caring mother, daughter, sister, and wife we could find on the face of this planet.